are you looking up tonight? Mulling under the moonlight. Never thought to let it go. Soul searching out of your window. Tired eyes, never sleep unless your head's by mine. Holding on to what we call divine. Do you think we're running out of time? Too late to stay, too dark for you to head home. Lay here with me, we'll watch another episode. Don't say goodnight. Stay by my side. Daylight rushes in over your emerald eyes. Guess that means that we're all out of time. Like a dream, you only come out at night. Am I crazy? Watch the sun as it's fading. Can't believe I'm waiting around on you. So complicated. I thought that you would leave it, yet here we are under the moon. Too late to stay, too dark for you to head home. Lay here with me, we'll watch another episode. Don't say goodnight. Stay by my side. Too late to stay, too dark for you to head home. Lay here with me, we'll watch another episode. Don't say goodnight. Stay by my side. Too late to stay, too dark for you to head home. Lay here with me, we'll watch another episode. Don't say goodnight. Stay by my side.
Hello. Hello. Into the jaws of death. Road the 500 and Manchester City are about to do the exact same thing that those British soldiers did in the Crimean War all those years ago. Or are we? Are we going to avoid that cannon fire instead? Today's installment of Touchline Talk is going to be trying to establish what is going on in that sense. Is there any hope? Is it a done deal already? Has the Newcastle game given us any, unwarranted cope? I don't know. So today we're going to be discussing that and general things in a back and forth Q&A session, as is the way with Touchline Talk. Apologies for the lack of content in recent days/weeks. That's totally my bad. Hopefully, you guys still enjoyed my scouting of those 3 signings. I appreciate the haste video should already be out by now. My bad. Personal things have just happened. Life has just happened. You know how it is. It's just a thing. Life happens. And new hobbies have arisen in terms of I'm trying to get my games room ready. That's not really an excuse. The whole life thing probably is. But yeah, when that's all done, hey, I'll show it off in I'll go live in my games room. I probably won't. I'll show it off in the Discord server. I don't know. But yeah, how's everyone doing? Let me know. Let me know what's going on. I can see we've already had a chat here. You guys have been chatting about the whole Verts situation, different opinions there, which is absolutely fine. Hello, Matty. Hello, Eden. Hello, Formidable Centurions. Hello, Nam. We've got Unknown. Hello, Ivana. Give me hope, says Yarrow. Hello, Ayush. Ramja might play a low block, says Matty. Kusanov left wing. It's a bold take and a bold strategy. It could happen. The new fancy armchairs, Rudy, and genuinely, that is a gorgeous chair. I can't even it has sort of inspired me to try to get that games room back up and running as it should be, because I don't use it as much as I should be doing, and I'm trying to finalize it. I've got a new TV in there. It's all mounted and lovely. Spending far too much money to make it all nice, but basically trying to make it a place that me and Mrs. Nobbins can, like, chill in on the weekend, like, watch film, play games, and just, like, listen to music and that sort of thing. Because there's a beautiful sound system in there and everything. And Newcastle always shit themselves at the Etihad, says Fuscan. Yeah, so I've sort of been out of the loop on this a little bit, because I wasn't really on Twitter yesterday, because I was spending basically the entirety of the day in my games room trying to figure out what mundane bits of electrical equipment I had to buy. Newsflash, I had to buy 2 lots of those 12 AC outlet towers, because I had 2 lots of 10. 20 AC outlets ain't enough for my games room. I need 24, as it turns out. So I've been sort of a bit out of the loop here on this. As I understand it, City are allegedly interested in him. Some people are happy with that. Some people are not happy with that. I don't think today's the stream to talk about that anyway. Maybe we can talk about it later. I don't think it's really something that I want to make the key thrust of today's session, today's show. When it's finished, Fuscan, I'll put some in the Discord server. How about that? Do we have anything to lose? If not, why not try it? Take it to them. Yeah, exactly. So let's maybe start. If you've only just joined, you haven't missed anything, please make sure to leave a like on the stream, on the video. There will be a watch along tomorrow, and again, I will be at some point releasing my Haste and Echeverry videos. I don't think that, to be fair, I don't think they're as time sensitive as the other ones, so that's absolutely fine. If the Real Madrid game is interesting, who knows? Maybe I will do an analysis video on that. I was going to do one on the Newcastle game, but I went out with Mrs. Nobbins for Valentine's weekend. Right, yeah, so Real Madrid, tomorrow, the Jaws of Death, the Crimean War, into the Jaws of Death Road, the 500, or however the poem goes. In theory, the team that we put out against Madrid, overall, I think, is technically going to be stronger than the one that we put out at home. The biggest asterisk there is the Akanji injury, obviously, and I understand that Grealish is injured, and he actually played well, in fairness, in that 30-minute period against Madrid. But overall, I would argue that in respect of balance, the team that we can put out for the second leg could actually be better. Primarily because Nico is going to be able to start, and he must start. If he was able to start at home against Madrid, then he was going to start. We were clearly, I mean, the Newcastle game evidences that we were missing that all season. Sadly, he didn't even play a minute because Pep confirmed he wasn't even fit. So that for me is an immediate upgrade already. And I think that when you couple that with the fact that John Stones has seemingly come out of nowhere, the rise from that Aston Villa game last season to now, in terms of midfield performances, is mental. I know it's only a small sample size, but it's a little bit crazy in my view. Didn't think he'd be able to play like that against Madrid, of all sides. Out of possession primarily. In possession, we obviously know how good he is. So I would probably run what I believe is probably as stable a midfield as you can possibly run, given that available context, and given the players that we have at our disposal, and that would be John Stones and Nico in the midfield. I know Gundogan played well against Newcastle. I think that's absolutely fine. I just think that whilst we obviously need to win the game, there still needs to be an understanding that we can't concede first, obviously. If we concede first, then the day is over. The day is lost. Because now all of a sudden, Real Madrid have a 2-goal lead. They can just camp, defend, which is perfectly within their rights to do so. And then they've got incredibly dangerous counter-attacking players like Vinicius, Bellingham, Mbappe, Rodrigo, and then we are dead. So, as much as we need to score a goal, this sounds obvious, I know, we do also need to ensure that we don't concede a goal. Because again, if we concede a goal first, then that is game over for me. So we do still need to have a conversation about being defensively resolute and solid and stable in the midfield and at the back. I agree, Bailey. I would personally run a Stones Nico pivot I think that makes the most sense. I don't think you could. Obviously, like there is no debate about it. Nico obviously starts in the midfield, like that just happens. So then the question becomes, how can we make that even more solid? And I don't think that you take Stones away from midfield following that Real Madrid masterclass, especially in that first half. So it makes a lot of sense to play those two together. When Kovacic came on in that second half and like Stones was forced to move to the back, you just saw that like Kovacic wasn't quite as defensively aware and astute as Stones. Real Madrid came into the game a little bit more. That ultimately leads to us losing the game. And of course, individual mistakes played a hand, but they are clearly interconnected. Physical fatigue and mental fatigue leads to lapses in judgment and errors. It's not a coincidence that City have conceded so many goals this season late on. So it makes sense for that to be the midfield. For me, now, I don't know if this is maybe the biggest... we'll get into Xavi in a moment, don't worry, guys. I don't know if this is like the biggest point of contention. But it seems to me that... Savio obviously starts. Haaland obviously starts. Of course they do. I'm having Savio out on the right, personally. I think that because Doku's only came on for was it 10-15 minutes against Newcastle? So I don't know whether he'd be fit to start. I think it probably makes more sense to not risk starting him and probably bring him on as an impact sub. Although what I will say on that is I do think this is a game tailor-made for a Doku, because I'm assuming that Real Madrid are going to be quite defensive. Therefore, you need players who can break low blocks, and that's what Doku is. And I think I agree with MLK there, who says, I'll bring Doku on the 60th to 70th minute if we aren't winning. I think that's how I'm looking at a Doku in this game. Also, Marmoush has just scored a hat-trick, and I think he's been playing quite well generally. I think his movement is quite nice. Now, whether that movement will be as effective against Real Madrid, that's another matter. But I do think that, given the fitness context, it makes sense to start Marmoush over Doku. So, the main point of contention for me, therefore, and I think that seems to be the main one that spawned in the wake of the Madrid game, was there's basically one slot between Foden and Kevin, essentially. Now, this isn't a reactive thing to say, this is just reality. That was probably De Bruyne's worst game of the season against Madrid, maybe. I can't think of many worse games he's had in a City shirt, to be honest with you. I'm sure there are, I'm just not thinking of. If anyone can think of one, let me know. But it was very poor. It was very poor from Kevin. The passes weren't even good. We expect, the physicality to not be there. We expect him to not be able to run for 80, 90 minutes. That's fine. But that shouldn't really prevent that so many passes going astray and just nothing really working out for him. He had a very poor game out of possession and in possession, to be honest with you. The game was a lot more high intensity than I thought it was going to be, than maybe even Pep thought it was going to be. At times that was very back and forth in the basketball game. So, whereas Foden came on, he's obviously got young legs. There's this weird idea that Foden doesn't press or doesn't run around a lot. I don't know where the data's from. If Bailey's still here, let me know. But Bailey put out an interesting stat about pressures, and Foden topped the list for City against Newcastle, I think it was. Please let me know where you got that information, that data from, because I like the idea of knowing where. Because FBref used to have pressure data, and now it doesn't. Sadly, now you got to pay £1 million to StatBomb if you want data. So let me know, Bailey. Where did you get that info if you're still here? There's this idea that he doesn't press or doesn't run around a lot. That's I don't know where that's come from. It's a load of nonsense. He came on and he played very, very well, by the way, even without winning the penalty. Obviously, he did win the penalty, but he just played very well individual because Real Madrid were pressing us very high, very aggressively. So we needed players who were able to get out of those high pressing moments. Foden's a small space operator. Kevin De Bruyne, less so. Again, that's not a dig. That's just a reality in his, following his injury, in his older age. His first touch, I feel like, isn't quite as clean as possible as it used to be. He's not able to physically shrug off an opponent as much as he was able to do so. He's less effective in those tightest pockets of space. He's much better outside of it. Against someone like Real Madrid, for me, it makes sense to have at least one of those players operating within those tighter spaces, because it's not going to give us a lot of space. Oh, it's from the thread. Oh, John McKenzie did. He's got access to foot vision. That sounds expensive. Foot vision. I'm going to Google that and have a look at it later. I'm guessing the foot vision's like mad pricey. Advanced Insights. Oh yeah, they partner with actual football clubs. I mean, I'll email them and I'll say, would you like to help me out? But, thank you, Bailey, thank you. I thought it was like from StatsBomb or something. Yeah, for some reason, pressure data is really heavily safeguarded. And I don't really know why. Because sometimes it's not even that useful. But, it's interesting. But yeah, they actually partner with like the Canadian national team in Barcelona. So yeah, that's going to be too expensive. I'll still email them. I'll still be cheeky and email them and say, yo, give me a hand. Yeah, so... And then the second question also... So in terms of on-pitch straight from the off, for me, my conclusion is it makes more sense to start Foden. And then the second point of contention is this. Let's say it's the 70th minute. It's 0-0, and that is very likely to be the case, I think. That, we are late in the game, and it's 0-0, it's 1-1, whatever. I think we will still need a goal come the 70th minute, regardless of like who we start, whatever. So let's say that is the game state. Let's say that is the situation. Who do you want to bring on to potentially break the game and change the game and do this unquantifiable, like, moment of magic somewhere out of nowhere thing? Something that you can't even really quantify. Do you want to bring on Foden to do that? Or do you want to bring on De Bruyne to do that? Now, both players can do that, and indeed both players have done a lot of that throughout their careers. But in general, I would personally... Oh, yeah, of course, Doku as well, yeah. I'm just talking about the midfielder situation. We've already discussed Doku, and of course, Doku's going to be one of those players. But personally, I'm looking at bringing on De Bruyne over Foden. So it gets to the 70th minute, and I'm thinking, bring on De Bruyne, bring on Doku. Instead of... Now, that might be instead of... It depends how desperate we are at that point. If we're like down by a goal, maybe you need to keep, Foden and Marmoush on the pitch and somehow make that work. But in general, if it's a straight out swap, you might swap Marmoush for Doku. You might swap Foden for Kevin. If you're getting really frisky, you might swap, I don't know, Stones for Kevin, and then just play a less solid out of possession midfield of, Nico and Foden. But who cares? Like, you need the goal desperately. The point I'm trying to make is, in general, you always want at least one game changer on the bench, don't you? That is a Doku. That is a Kevin. That is a Foden, of course. But in general, I'd probably trust De Bruyne to be that guy. And then, if he comes on, in around the 70th minute, 60th minute, wherever, you can go, right, Kevin, there's 20 minutes left in this game, and there's maybe 30 minutes of added time, but, that's always a tricky one, isn't it? There's 20 minutes left in this game. Just give me 20 minutes of pure running and fitness and commitment. And you will know that, come the 90th minute, then you can have a break, whatever. Whereas if you start him, then there is a risk that he will be just physically done by like the 50th minute, as was the case against, Real Madrid in the first leg. So I think, just from a practicality perspective, that makes the most sense. It means you've still got a weapon on the bench to bring on. 20 minutes is still a decent amount of time for a player to change the game. So that's probably how I would run the attack. So I would do the exact same attack that we did against Newcastle, to be honest with you. question marks about Marmoush's impact because the runs in back. There's no way that Real Madrid will be affording us as much space as Newcastle, did. But he's still got very tricky movement, and movement from Marmoush doesn't necessarily purely equate to just running in behind, because he's also very good at generating his own space by faking a run, then dropping, then receiving, and then running. Does that make sense? So that's how I would personally go about it. I think that makes the most sense, to be fair. De Bruyne didn't feature at all against Newcastle, did he? So in theory, he'll have had a whole week from that Real Madrid game. Now that should be enough. I'd like to think anyway, that would be enough for like 20 to 30 minutes of pure, just give me everything. And you've already given us your hamstring, of course. You've given us your career, essentially. But for the purposes of tomorrow, just give us another 20 to 30 minutes and see what you can do in that period. And I was going to say if needed. One assumes it will absolutely be needed. I can't see us being in a winning state by that point. But this is why you have potential game changers on the bench. A Doku, a Kevin De Bruyne, maybe a Foden. But I think it makes more sense to start him, personally. So yeah, the same attack as against Newcastle, which worked quite well. Of course, again, Newcastle did play a very high line, which is very odd. But it still worked. Ultimately, there was still some very nice attacking patterns to play. Most importantly, we had Nico on the ball. And finally, there was that bridge. I've been speaking about this all season. There was finally that bridge connecting defence to, or rather midfield, to our more attacking players. Finally, Foden, Marmoush receiving the ball quickly and in dangerous areas where they can actually impact the play. That's what matters. And this is why a lot of our attackers have been catching unnecessary slack this season. They've not been getting the ball often or quickly enough in those dangerous areas. Let me know if anyone else would do anything different. I think what I've outlined makes the most sense. It's got a nice balance to it. It also means you've got some players on the bench to bring on to, change the game. Let me know if there's anything else that you guys think that we could do, though. I think that makes the most sense. Personally. Where does Bernardo feature if it's the same attack versus Newcastle? On the bench, for me. Now, maybe he starts in, but I don't see where Bernardo starts. Because if Bernardo starts, where's he going to play out of possession? He's not going to play on the right, is he? Because I'd like to think that Savio will start there. Or Foden, whoever. He obviously isn't going to start on the left. He's not going to start at striker. So the only reasonable out-of-possession starting point for Bernardo would be in the centre alongside... And Nico has to start. So it'd have to be alongside Nico. Now... Which means that you can't play Stones in midfield, who just had an amazing game against Real Madrid like a week ago. So that will just be a mistake to me, because Stones illustrated. He's more solid than Bernardo out of possession. So then it just becomes, is he going to be better than him in possession? Perhaps, maybe, certainly a different player. And maybe Pep will decide that if I've got Nico there, I don't need Stones, because I'm going to have Nico do what Stones did against Madrid. I'm going to have Bernardo do what Bernardo did against Madrid. I don't like that, and I think that's wrong. I think that would be an incorrect starting point. It probably wouldn't surprise me too much if he did that, but I just think that it's the starting point should be it's paramount to be solid, and a midfield which has got Bernardo in it is not as solid a midfield as City can muster or put out. Bernardo and Nico is not more solid than Stones and Nico. It is in fact less solid. It is more liquid, I would suggest, or even gaseous. Gaseous? Gaseous? One of those terms. Yeah? However you pronounce that word. I believe it's gaseous. I believe it's gaseous. Gaseous. Gaseous sounds better though. I don't know. Not solid, one of the other forms of matter. Maybe even plasma, That's a plasma midfield right there. I don't want plasma. I want a rock, yeah? I don't want mercury, yeah? I want ice. Anyway. Nico and Kova should be starting tomorrow, says Vob. What about Kova and Nico? We all saw what happened when Kovacic came on against Real Madrid in the first leg, and it wasn't pretty. Now, I know that Nico being there will make him more solid by definition. But I just don't. Yeah, that's fair, man. I just don't know if I prefer the idea of Kova playing instead of Stones. Again, I'm just looking at how wonderful he was in that first leg. He was brilliant. He was brilliant off it. He was brilliant on it. Kova came on and he was shit. Now, I know that's, again, I know it's not fair because he's playing a position which is technically not his, but he plays that horror ball back to Rico in like the last minute of the game for no reason. That's not even to do with a position. That's like his brain turning off. So I personally am not starting him. I think that it's more solid to have a Nico Stones pairing. Now, in fairness, this is totally dependent on what defenders are available. Can someone please confirm for me? Because I don't think we quite got to the meat of the matter on LNobbins yesterday. Is Ruben Diaz going to start? Is he fit? Is he in training? I think someone said that he might have been in training, but I don't know if they confirmed whether he was like fit or not. Because if Diaz isn't able to start, then this maybe flips everything on its head, and maybe like Stones has to go into defense, you know? In which case it's a pointless conversation. But if Diaz is available, then hopefully it makes it so that we can justify starting Stones in the centre. He's in training. Okay. Diaz and Ake both in training. All defenders are available apart from Akanji, obviously. But yes, Ruben is fit. He was in training. Diaz, Ake in training. Jack as well. He trained as normal. Diaz trained as normal. Lovely. Okay. Okay. That's good. That's good. So yeah, Diaz has to start because he's Ruben Diaz. Now, what I would do, and again, this caused contention on Elbins on Elbins yesterday on an LB show. I don't know if I would start Ake, and that sounds mental because he was actually very good against Real Madrid. But there is a thought process. Let me tell you why I might not start him. Obviously, Guardiola starts at left back, obviously, and obviously Diaz starts, obviously. I think that Rico Lewis probably has to start because the only real options are Lewis or Nunes. I'm not being funny. You know, I like the concept of Nunes. But if we are thinking about playing against Madrid in a similar manner to how we played in the first leg, or in a similar manner to how we played against Newcastle, then that means that whoever you have at right back is going to have to be comfortable in possession in the centre, in midfield. I like the concept of Nunes, but he can't play in midfield. He can't do it for City. He's not good enough, sadly. Not for matches like this, when you've got a team in Real Madrid who are going to be asking us so many questions when we're on the ball. I don't think it's just going to be a case of they will sit off in every single phase of play. For example, like when we're in the first phase, I don't think they'll just back off. I think they would try to press us and press us hard in that first phase. Or maybe even the second phase, I don't know. So in which case, I don't really want Nunes on the ball, looking at or being surrounded by, because he'd be going to right central midfield. That's what you've got to bear in mind. If we are talking about it from a Newcastle/Real Madrid perspective, we're talking about our right back going into right central midfield. So therefore, they've got to be comfortable doing that. And I don't want Nunes to do that. He can't do that. Lewis obviously can. From a defensive perspective, he wasn't actually bad against Vinicius. And also just from a defensive perspective, I mean, Trossard did Nunes, sadly. And Nunes dives in too much. So I don't really want a diving in fullback there. So therefore, I think the only option is probably Rico. You guys are saying Stones. I haven't really explored that. Maybe I'll have a think about that in a moment. But yeah, Lewis actually had a decent game against Vinicius. Won half his duels against him, which is, considering it's, you know, someone who isn't a right back up against maybe the best left winger in the world, that's pretty good going. And that final mistake was sadly forced upon him by Kova as well, which is Lewis should have done better. Should never have been in that situation. I would mitigate that by partnering him with Kusanov and having Kusanov out at right centre back. Because Kusanov does have that recovery pace to an extent, and he would also be, hopefully, because if Lewis gets bypassed, you've got Kusanov there being aggressive and hopefully able to deal with that. So I think that would probably make the most sense for me personally. As I say, the only other option we'll explore Stones in a moment. I haven't even really contemplated that. My initial thought process was the two starting points are, I keep saying starting points a lot, don't I? Apologies. Are Rico or Nunes, and I don't think it should be Nunes starting. I think that would be a recipe for disaster. There's no ideal option, but I think that would be a worse option. So I don't want to start Nunes, and I'm not going to start Kusanov at right back. If you've not watched my Kusanov video yet, guys, shame on you. First of all, that's my most viewed video, I believe now. I think it's exceeded the Colin Bell documentary. I don't want Kusanov at right back because he simply does not have the physical profile for it. I know Lewis doesn't either to an extent, but I just think that it would not go well for Kusanov at right back up against Vinicius. I think that he would, if anything, have a harder time than Lewis, to be honest with you, given how Vinicius plays. Let's talk about Stones right back then. Again, I didn't even really think about that. You guys are all saying, why not Stones at right back? Let's visually, let's think about it now. This is on the fly. I've not prepared or planned this or thought about it. Let's think about it now. Okay? In possession, it would work because the starting point would be right back and they'd push up into right central midfield. He can do that. That's not an issue. That's fine. Yeah, I can't really think of why it wouldn't work in possession. Rest defense is arguably stronger because you've actually got, because Stones has got more running power and physicality than Lewis. He's not as good in those tighter spaces, I suppose, but he's still comfortable on the ball. He's comfortable getting out of pressure. If it was okay, the main reason why I wouldn't want to do it is because if you do that, then that means that you obviously can't play him in midfield. So it means that if you're starting Stones at right back, then you are starting one of Bernardo or Kovacic or Gundogan in the centre out of possession. And I don't want that. So that's for me why I wouldn't do it, because I want Stones in that midfield pivot. I think that's more important than popping him at right back. So there's my answer to the question. That's why I wouldn't do that. It's not because of, I actually think the Stones could do it quite well, and that would actually be a decent option, defensively, on ball. The main reason why I wouldn't do it is because if you're playing Stones at right back, then that means you aren't playing him in midfield. That's why I wouldn't do it, in answer to the question. Can Bernardo do... Bernardo right back? What? When has Bernardo ever played right back? I know he's played like left back for one half against City, I think. When's he ever played right back? Guys. Can I bring up the tactics board? Sure. Sure. Where is it? There it is. So, let me just make sure I've got enough players Let me make sure I've got enough players. So Ake, as I say, might be crazy, but I don't know if I'd start him. Akanji, sadly, you are injured, mate. Oh, what a darn shame. Why are you injured? If Akanji was fit, then this whole conversation would be null and void. If Akanji was fit, I reckon that we probably would have, you know, I reckon that we probably would win, and not win comfortably, but, you know, win. And I'd be reasonably confident of doing so. KDB, he's playing for Man City. He's better than Fellaini. KDB, probably gonna win the league. Don't remember that song? Good times. Right, okay. I think I've got enough players there. Right. Oh my, why is my camera not working? Hello? Hello? Where's my camera at? Are we good? Well, we're not good, clearly. The camera's not working. I don't know why, but my camera's not working. That's very upsetting. I'll look into that. I don't know. It should be working. I don't know why it wouldn't be. Interesting. Interesting. Yes, indeed. What if I, like, close that and then do that? Oh, there we go. We're back. Wonderful. You know, turning stuff off and on again worked. Boom. Boom. Okay. Now then, with the away side, let's formulate a team, shall we? Let me show you my thinking. Let me show you my thinking. Yeah, guys. Let me show you my thinking. Let's work from forwards to top. Forward to top, because I feel like this chat is sort of basically in agreement that the starting attack should be what we think it should be. Route 1. Jack, that's outrageous. I didn't feel enough chocolate milk, hello? That's crazy. By the way, guys, please make sure you are leaving a like on the video as you are watching. It is free to do so. If you'd like to go the extra mile, support your boy with, you know, money. You don't have to, but if you'd like to do that, if you're able to do that, you can become a member of the channel in Ultra specifically. You get lots of lovely perks. It's only £3 a month. You can click the join button or the link in the video description if you're able to. And if you'd like to support the content and you also get shout outs and whatnot, please feel free to do so. It is massively appreciated if able to do so. Again, if you don't want to or can't, don't worry about it. But if you can, beautiful. Okay, so again, let's work from top to back because we feel like that's the thing. I'm saying that I'm putting Edison in goal, and I don't really care. So I think that this chat is basically all in agreement that I've not put fucking Marmouche in here. One sec, guys. This is the issue with my tactics board. I can't edit names on the fly. I need to go out to do it. Let me just add in Marmouche because we want Marmouche, don't we? We want Marmouche. We want Marmouche. Marmouche. Boom. There we go. And back we go. There we go. Oh my god, I'm such a fucking shambles. I've not even put Nico, have I? God, what is wrong with my brain today? I mean, a lot, clearly. Let me just pop in Nico as well. Nico. 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 There we go. Okay. Okay, again, let's try to do it. So, Haaland, yes. Foden, yes. Savio, yes. Marmouche, yes. Guardiola, yes. I think we're basically all in agreement that this should be our front five. This was the same front five that played against Newcastle. This was not the same front five that played against Madrid, because it was a different shape because Guardiola went into midfield, didn't he? So we're actually thinking about a different system. Actually, no, same system, different utilization of it. Because against Madrid, we actually had, you know, Grealish, for example, out wide, and then Foden out wide. When he came on, Guardiola actually went into the centre. But maybe, you know, Madrid have seen that. Maybe they can't get caught out by it. But in general, I think we all want to see something like this. Something like this, where it's the... Don't worry, like Bernardo's chilling, don't worry about it. Something like this, and again, this is the exact same front five that played against Newcastle. Do not be alarmed. I know some people get confused when I put Guardiola at left wing. This is in possession. Guardiola goes to left wing in possession. Don't worry about it. Like, I've not had a stroke. Yeah? I've not had a stroke. This is in possession. This is what we did against Newcastle. So, if we're saying we want to do a Newcastle team, then this is the starting point. We can have a think about it, but I think the personnel is what matters more so than the actual shape, because shape can change, can't it? Obviously, Nico has to start. Obviously. Because he's Nico. Yeah, there's no debate there. I would do... Oh, wait, hang on. Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. Wait. 2, 3. Oh, no, that works. That's fine. Yeah, that's chill. Yeah, is that chill? Yeah, that's chill. So out of possession. This is my pivot. Out of possession, this is my pivot. So we're going to go 4-4-2, obviously off ball. That's what we always seem to do. In which case, it's going to be, you know... I just pop in some random Donnies. Right. This is how it's going to set up. There's too many players. I wish we could put that many players on the pitch. No, so 2-3-5 is how we did it. In fact, that's actually how we did it on both occasions. We did 2-3-5 against Real Madrid and against Newcastle. The difference was, how was the shape created? Against Real Madrid, the shape was created by 2 fullbacks. No? Yes. 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 By 2 fullbacks going into midfield. So Guardiola went into midfield. And then Rico Lewis also went into midfield. So you had the 2 centre-backs. And then the 3 was, you know, Stones, Lewis, Guardiola. Against Newcastle, it was different. It was more like this. Where the left-back pushed up to left wing. Only one of the fullbacks pushed into the centre. One of the midfielders stayed in the centre there. And that was Gundogan. I don't really particularly mind which way we do it. I feel like instinctively, if we're saying that we're starting Marmoush, then it makes more sense to do it like this, because otherwise you're in a situation where Marmoush is pinned to the touchline. And I don't know if that's what we want. Realistically. So much space on the wings for them to counter. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really matter what we do. We'll get countered. You know. That will be a thing, sadly. This would be my team. I would have... This is in possession. Well, this isn't necessarily... sorry, I'm just doing this on the fly. I might... this is subject to change. This is subject to change. But this is how we played against Newcastle. The attack is the exact same. The midfield is better because we've swapped out... because Nico and Gundogan has become Nico and Stones. And the defense is better because it's now got Ruben Diaz in it. So in terms of like a straight like for Newcastle, this is actually a better team. That works to an extent, as much as it can do, of course. If we want to change it, we can obviously do that. It's like we can do a 3-2 build. But the 2-3s worked quite nicely for the past 2 games. So I don't know if I want to deviate from that personally. So I'm going 2-3. You got 5 players in the build-up. You still got your 5 defensive players as well. And you've got a nice mix of actual, you know, good defensive attributes, like, you know, in Diaz, Kusanov, Stones, because they're all centre-backs. You've also got some nice recovery pace, you know, with Nico, Stones, Kusanov. You've also got some good work on the ball with basically with all of them, to be honest with you. So I think that's probably what I would do, to be honest with you. Gundogan for Lewis, says Michael. But Gundogan can't play right back, Michael. Gundogan can't play right back. This is the thing. And this is what it looks like out of possession. You've got to think about it in two facets. Off ball, on ball. Off ball, on ball. Why is Guardiola in attack? Because that's where he goes to on ball, Paul. Swap Nico and Stones. I don't know if I want to do that, to be honest with you. Nico primarily played against... played for Porto as a left-sided midfielder. Stones is also right-footed. I feel like I want him on that natural right side. And also, if you have him there, that means he can play in the centre, as he did against Madrid when he dominated in that central position. So I think for me, it makes more sense to have Stones there, personally. So this is off ball. This midfield can't get any stronger. I think we can all agree on that as a stable pivot, no one can think of anything more stable than this. Unless you bring in Rodri, you know. Bernardo is not better than Stones off ball. Neither is Gundogan. Neither is Kovacic. Stones was unreal against Madrid. Nico is going to start every single day of the week if he's available. There is nothing more stable than that two out of possession. Savio is an unbelievable pressing demon at right wing. That is crucial when we consider Vinicius Jr.'s threat and also Mbappe's tendency to drift to the left, and even Jude Bellingham's tendency to drift to the left. We are going to need a pacey, defensive, wide player there. So that's why, for me, Savio going there also helps. Everyone's saying Ake instead of Lewis. There are first. I'm a bit confused. Okay, right. Let's do that for a second. Okay. First of all, he's never played right back for City ever. I don't know if he's ever played there for Chelsea or Bournemouth. I could understand it though off ball because Ake's still a good defender, so who cares? So I can accept the off ball one, but you've got to remember, guys, that if we're doing the same thing as against Newcastle, how is this going to look on ball? Let's replicate that now. So we've got Ake inverting into the midfield, something that he's never done before. The alternative is you have Ake at right centre back, again, a position he's never played before, and now all of a sudden we have a left footer who's not good with his right foot being asked to play in possession at right centre back. Now, if I'm Real Madrid, I'm looking at that as, I don't know if you guys remember, I think it was Chelsea against Liverpool. Chelsea against Liverpool, I think it was at Anfield. Basically, the first half, Maresca played Badiashile, a left-footed centre-back, out at right back, and more importantly, right centre-back in possession. And it was horror. It was an absolute horror because I don't know. I don't fully know why. I think it's because left backs are rarer, therefore they are less reliant on their right foot. Because, like in the academy, they're like, right, you're left-footed. Don't even bother using your right foot. Right footers tend to be better with their left than vice versa. So if you're asking Ake to build out from the back with his right foot, that is going to be a horror situation. So saying that Ake should replace Lewis, I don't really understand that. If you want to go to a back three or a back two, neither work. So doing a straight swap for Lewis and Ake is not going to be a thing. It's not going to be a thing, I'm afraid. Kusanov right back, no. Kusanov right back is a horror as well. In possession, it would be absolutely fine. Out of possession, as I've outlined many times, Kusanov is not a right back. He's never started as a right back for Lorne or for City. I don't doubt he can do it in possession. Out of possession, again, it's a position he has never played. Being able to run in a straight line is not the same as being good as a right back. He would not be able to do that. I would actually predict that he would be worse defensively than Lewis, because Vinicius would be able to manipulate him far more. What would make a lot more sense out of possession would be to have that, because now you've got Lewis, who, again, I don't know where it came from. Lewis played well against Madrid. Lewis did not cost us at the Bernabeu, guys. Let's not be revising history here. Lewis actually did quite well against Vinicius Jr. I counted 6 encounters. Lewis won half of them. The one at the end, which sadly led to the third goal, Kovacic played him into a mental situation. And yes, Lewis should have done better, but Lewis was already backpedaling, trying to cover the run of Vinicius. Kovacic plays him into an impossible situation. Yeah? So we're not having that Lewis cost us at the Bernabeu. Lewis actually played quite well. Sorry, at the Bernabeu, against Madrid. Lewis actually played quite well against arguably the best left winger in the world. We're not going to be revising history. We're not going to be doing unnecessary hate to a player who saved us in the treble-winning year and actually had quite a good performance against Real Madrid. We're not going to be doing that, okay? If you think you can be in this chat and get away with that shit, you're not going to have a good time on my live shows. I don't allow lies on this channel. He played well against Vinicius Jr. and against Madrid. Tranquilo. We're not going to revise history here. The other thing to bear in mind, though, again, is that, I'll say it again, if we want to do a 2-3, let's say you want to do this, all of a sudden now you're asking Kusanov to play in midfield, where he's never played. And again, I thought we wanted to do a 2-3 if we wanted to try to replicate Newcastle. Yeah? So if you want to play like we did against Newcastle, or in a similar manner, or even if you want to play like we did against Madrid, we did not play 3-2. We played 2-3. If you want to play 3-2, we can have that conversation. But this whole chat has been saying we need to play, in a similar manner to how we played against Newcastle, and in a similar manner to how we played against Madrid, because actually for that first half in particular, we played quite well. So it won't work with Kusanov in the midfield. Unless you would like to throw Kusanov in there to a position he's never done before. We can do 3-2, but again, that's not what we did against Newcastle, nor is it what we did against Madrid. If we did do that, let's think about that then, shall we? In possession, it's fine, but the out of possession issues are still there, guys. You are still having Kusanov at right back. He's not a right back. He's never played right back. I don't know why we want to have Kusanov's first ever game at right back, a position he can't play, by the way, a position he can't play, against Vinicius Jr. He's never played there before. I think the last time we discussed this, someone said, oh, but he played there against Arsenal. He came on for like 5 minutes when they were 5-0 down or something. And I think he got booked as well. So, I don't know, guys, if now is the time to start experimenting. Every single suggestion here is, why don't we do something that we have never done before? Let's play Ake at right back. Never done before. Vitor Hayes has not even started a Premier League game for City. We're not going to start him at right back, are we? Why are we going to start Kusanov at right back when he's never started there before? Why are we going to play a left-footed Ake at right centre-back and then right back out of possession? Why would we be doing something that we've never done before? It doesn't. To me, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Lewis has played at right back, and again, he's demonstrated that he can actually deal with Vinicius Jr., despite what mental people are thinking. For me, the strongest team, and again, you've also got to think about in possession build as well. And also, probably, it's all well and good thinking we've got this front five, but if it gets to a later stage in the game, we're going to be needing, probably, to get a sixth player in there at some point. Now, we still want Stones and Nico deeper, so we're probably going to need one of these back five to come into these more closed-off areas. And that's also what Lewis is, by the way. So for me, it makes why can't Cambiasso play brilliant? It just makes so much more sense, doesn't it? Now, if Kusanov plays right back and has a brilliant game against Real Madrid, then I'll be quiet. I'll be quiet, of course. But based on press, all I can do is base off what I have seen. He's never played at right back. He does not have the physical profile for it. He does not have the... He does not necessarily strictly have the defensive attributes for it either. The wide's defending is his weakness. That is his weakness. In settled wide's defending anyway. Bernardo can play right back. When's Bernardo played right back though? When's that happened? Why is Bernardo Silva all of a sudden apparently more stable than someone who has played right back for City? Where's that come from? Stones right back and invert. If we had two Stoneses, I wouldn't mind that, Samir, but I need Stones out of possession in the midfield. I need him out of possession in midfield. Right centre back is not mental. Well, it's not about it being mental. It's not ideal, but it's irrelevant because you've got to play him at right back if that's a thing. It doesn't work in possession or out of possession. But the fact is it 100% doesn't work out of possession. Practically, anyway. Kusan, a very fast defender. Yeah, but there's a difference between running quickly in a straight line and stopping and starting and turning and contorting your body. There's not the same thing. They're not the same thing. He's still a better right back option than Kusanov, says Herbal. I don't want to play either. We just need to, for me, we just need to play Rico at right back. If anyone wants to give me a new reason as to why, I don't think anyone here is saying Nunes at right back. I think the main stumbling block here is who's the right back going to be. Now again, the game isn't going to be decided by purely who the right back is. It is worth saying that Lewis played well against Gordon as well, by the way. He also played well against Kudus against West Ham. He also played... Who was the Chelsea left winger that day? Can't remember. He played well against him as well. Yeah, I think you guys want me to do what will Pep do now. Kusanov was de facto right back against Newcastle. No, he wasn't, Alf. No, he wasn't. He wasn't. He was a right centre-back in possession. He was a right centre-back out of possession. No. Lewis was the right back against Newcastle. I'm going to say the thing. That's objectively incorrect, I'm afraid. That's not what happened. Should we do what I think Pep will do? So in sum, just to conclude, guys, this is what I would run. I'm just going to go through my team one more time. My team is a 2-3 build-up shape. It's a 2-3 build-up shape because that is how we've played the last two games. It has Kusanov in there to help out with Rico Lewis. It has Rico Lewis in there so he can invert into midfield and create that 5 overload. It has Nico in there because his name is Nico. It has Nico and Stones in and out of possession pivots. That is the best defensive midfield we can have. The front 5 is the front 5. Yeah? That is my team. That makes sense. We miss Walker. Hey, if we had Prime Walker, this would not be a conversation. This wouldn't be a conversation. Pep will play Bernardo, so let's get him in. I'll get to Pep's team in a moment. What do you think Kusanov will stop Vinny and Mbappe only, honestly? No. He absolutely was. No, he wasn't, though, Alf. Again, you're not thinking about football in possession and out of possession terms. You tell me, what was our out of possession shape against Newcastle? Just tell me. And if the formation you give me starts with a 3, then I'm afraid to say that you didn't watch the same game. Because we do not play back 3 out of possession. Uh, now we miss Walker. At prime Walker, 100%. Very dismissive Stones right back. No, I would love Stones to play it right back, but I need him to start in midfield. Why don't you just have one player inverting so you can play Ake at right back? I don't want Ake at right back because he's never played at right back in his career and because he's left-footed. Pep starts Kevin, says Jack, maybe. The only thing that's inevitable... Sorry. The only thing that's inevitable is Pep starting Bernardo against Madrid. Nico O'Reilly in midfield as a shout. Yeah, is that a game where we want to be throwing him in to what sort of a baptism of fire? I don't think so. Doku would be really good in this game. Shame he's not match fit. I totally agree, Faisal. Yeah, let's get the likes up, guys. Big up. If Walker didn't leave in the winter, would he start? Based on his form, I don't think he can start him. Again, if it was like prime him, then yeah, for sure. Can't play Nunes, I agree. Yeah, if we score first, the crowd will panic. We need to make sure we don't concede first, that's for sure. Stones in midfield is a must. I agree with that. I like the formation if Lewis can stop from drifting so far forward. When he gets to the edge of the box, he has no chance of recovery in transition, says Fenway. That's a very good point. Hopefully we don't go too gung-ho in that sense. I agree. He can invert in midfield. There's no issue in that. I don't know who that's in reference to. Sorry. People look for solutions that don't need to be made. Brilliant. Pep has dropped Kevin, but can never drop Thing. Big up. This is it. Alf, I'm still waiting for how you think we played out of possession against Newcastle. Let me know. If it starts with a 3, then that's wrong by default. So let me know what you think our out of possession formation was against Newcastle, please. Vinny can be shut. You know what's so frustrating? We needed a game at the Etihad where Mbappe, Vinicius, Bellingham had relatively poor games. That was probably our only way of winning. They did have poor games. And we still lost. It's so frustrating. I can see Pep starting Nico, Bernardo, De Bruyne in midfield. Watch this. Well, let's maybe have a chat about that, shall we, in a moment. I'm nearly caught up on the chat. Give me the out of possession shape, Alf, please. Let me know the out of possession shape. Because if it starts with a 4, then Lewis was playing at right back. We played out of possession 4-4-2. We played in possession 2-3-5. Lewis was the right back, not Kusanov. Kusanov was a right centre back in both in possession and out of possession. I'll ask one more time, Alf. What did we play out of possession against Newcastle? Did it start with a 4? If it did, then Lewis was the right back. Thank you. Right. How would Pep play? I think it's going to do 2-3-5. No, out of possession. That's why I said if it starts with a 4, then it's going to be weird. In possession, it was 2-3. Out of possession is what I'm asking. We don't really have a right back in possession. Sorry. What was it out of possession? Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. I think he's going to play 2-3 because that's what he played against Newcastle and that's what he played against Real Madrid. I don't think he'd start Kusanov. I think he would start Ake. I think he would start Lewis. No. Do I think he'd start Bernardo, though? Would he start Bernardo? You guys say he definitely would, but would he? I don't know if he would. Why? What would be the reason? Because Stones is like good enough from like a stability perspective. He's not starting Lewis over Bernardo. He's not playing Bernardo at right back. FG, what's happening here? Why are we saying go over Bernardo over him? It's that. What? Yeah, again, Alf, so who was the right back if it was a back 4? Lewis. Thank you. He loves Bernardo. Knowing Pep, he will start Bernardo. Because he's got to start Stones, hasn't he? He will start Stones. So then the question becomes, oh, you think of the Stones right back? Would he give up Stones in the midfield out of possession, though? He might do. Would he? He might do. To be fair, that's what he did in the Champions League final. He played Stones at right back, didn't he? Yeah, I think this actually might be right. I think, yeah. If our starting... I keep saying starting point. Apologies. If our starting point is that he's definitely starting Bernard. He's starting him somewhere. He can't drop Stones. The only way that he can do that is by... he could do that, to be fair. He could do that. I don't know what the Ake situation is, because he went off injured, did he? Did he play? No, did he come on against... No, he wasn't even on the bench, was he? I wonder if he doesn't start Ake. I think it's more likely that he drops Ake than starts Stones at right back. That's my prediction. Yeah. Yeah, he's not going to start Ake, is he? Because he wasn't on the bench. Would he risk starting both Ake and Diaz? I don't think he would. I know they both trained. I'm worried about... Oh, I thought you said Dave. I thought you said I'm worried about planes. That's an interesting point. I'm worried about playing Stones full stop 3 games in 8 days. Ake trained. Ake had a cold. He's fit to start. Okay. Would he start Ake then? Okay, maybe he would. Maybe he would do that. Now this is weaker off ball, by the way. This is weaker off ball because now we've gone from Nico and Stones to Nico and Bernardo in midfield, which is a hell of a lot weaker. But he could potentially do that, couldn't he? I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't agree with it. It means that out of possession we are weaker because there's no Stones in the midfield now. But could happen. Could be a thing. I just personally, and Prantic says Stones won't stop Vinny. I just think that a combination of Stones and Diaz, again, I like Diaz a lot. He's very good. I'm just worried that there will be inevitable moments where we're caught high up. And I just wonder, it's is a combination of Stones and Diaz the best one? That's the only concern. But maybe that's how he sets up in terms of his defense and midfield. Maybe. He obviously starts Guardiola. He simply must start Savio. I think he probably starts Kevin, which I don't agree with, as we've discussed. So does he drop Phil or Marmoush? I feel like he probably drops Phil, because to be fair, Phil didn't start against Madrid, did he? He had to come on due to injury. I wonder. Would he do that? Or would he play... Because, again, Savio started on the left. No, he can't do that. He's got to have Savio out on the right, surely. We're doing a pep team now, guys. Don't worry, we're doing a pep team. I don't like that. I think that team's got a lot weaker off ball and on ball, to be honest with you. What else would he do? The alternative is that we need to think about this totally differently. And we need to think about it as... like... that. Because we've got to remember that in the first game against Madrid, in terms of structure, this is what Pep did. He didn't play Guardiola at left wing. He played him in the midfield. And he played Stones he played whoever the right back was in midfield. In this case, it would be Stones. He used the left back as a midfielder rather than a left winger. Now, I think this is a hell of a lot worse, again. But maybe that's how we need to be thinking about it. In which case, it's still not good, is it? Yeah. I don't know, guys. Ishii wants Guardiola in the midfield. I think Pep might do this. This is a much more conservative team. And I think it's a lot worse. But I think that Pep might go for this. And maybe there'll be like a change here or there. Maybe he'll take off Kevin, maybe put on Foden, whatever. But he did start Kevin against Madrid. He didn't play him at all against Newcastle. Didn't feature him at all. Bernardo didn't start against Newcastle, did he? How will Madrid play? I'd assume they'll play in a similar manner to how they played at ours, but maybe a bit more defensively? I don't know. Vinny would love this. Yes, out of possession, it would be this, wouldn't it? So this is on ball. And out of possession, this would happen, wouldn't it? Oh my god, that stinks. You'd have to swap them, wouldn't you? Oh, that doesn't work, does it? No, you'd have to play Savio there. Yeah, that doesn't work. Never mind, that doesn't work actually, does it? Yeah, he can't do that. Yeah, scrap that. He can't do that because of the right winger would have to be Kevin, and that obviously isn't going to happen because we need someone to be running back and forth to deal with Vinicius. So he can't. So it turns out I've got it wrong. It wouldn't work off ball. It wouldn't work off ball unless you're like throwing Marmouche to the touchline. This isn't an app. This is mine. It's not an app. It's mine. Oh, anyway, guys, what we've learned there is a whole lot of nothing. Sorry for wasting your time. Hopefully you were still able to enjoy, and hopefully you were able to, understand like the difficulties that we have in terms of like constructing a side. I don't think there is any truly correct team. I think whoever we play is, there's going to be weaknesses somewhere in that side. Throughout, that's an inevitableness of it. Fireborn, I think he'll want to start conservatively because the key at the start is going to be don't concede a goal. Because if you concede in the first half, it's over. I don't think we can win by 2 goals, or rather, you know what I mean. I don't think we can score like 2 goals. From being 1 goal down. Does that make sense? So, yeah. Start Grealish, says Ayushi. Vinicius would turn Cassave inside out. I think so. And that's why I wouldn't personally start him at right back. At least we have options against all vibes as Herbal. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I've got a little bit more confidence given the Newcastle game. If the front 5 is the exact same as if it's basically the same team that played against Newcastle, but with a couple upgrades here and there, such as Diaz coming into the back line and Stones coming into the midfield, then we have a decent chance. Especially if, we can bring on a Doku and a De Bruyne. I think there is a team there that can win this match by a goal. I don't think there's any team which can win the game by 2 goals. I think our best bet is penalties. And maybe that's a bet we'll lose. But I'd rather at least try to get to penalties. You get me? Any news on Bob? don't know, Alf. I don't know. Yeah, hopefully hopefully you found today's show entertaining. I think that ultimately, I don't think we will win. My honest take is I think that the best we can hope for tomorrow is a draw. Stranger things have happened, but if you ask my personal take, in the same way that I thought we were going to lose against Arsenal, the same way I thought we were going to probably not win against Real Madrid, I don't think we will win. I don't think we'll win tomorrow. If you're saying our best bet is pens, we might as well pack up and go home. Your team doesn't have a passer. Need Gundo or De Bruyne. Nico. Samir. Nico is that guy. Quite easily. Yeah, hopefully you learned something today in terms of the in possession versus out of possession. There's still a little bit of confusion there. You know, like why is Guardiola left wing, for example? It's because there's a difference between where you move on ball versus off ball. But hopefully we're, you know, gradually dispelling. When I looked at the lineup, mate, I actually thought we were going to win. To be honest with you, I didn't think we were going to win that much by that many goals and play that well. But I did think we had a very good chance. I tweeted saying I'm very happy with that lineup. Yeah, hopefully this channel is trying to dispel some myths. Hopefully, I like to think that we're in addition to entertaining, I like to think there's some education work going on. I like to think so anyway. If you're not learning anything, then I'm not doing my job, clearly. But I like to think that I'm doing something. I'm going to be shooting off now, guys. Apologies, this wasn't as interactive as I wanted it to be. I feel like there was just quite a lot that needed to be said in terms of the lineup. I will be doing a post-mortem regardless of results after the Madrid game. I don't think I've done one for the Champions League yet. But that's just because, you know, I don't like to really do them until like we've actually learned something. Maybe, does that make sense? I don't know. But either way, we're either getting knocked out or we're beating Madrid. So I'll do one either way. It might not be until the morning because it'll be late. I might reflect on it, you know, sleep on it, and maybe we'll do it Thursday morning. If we win, I might just go for it and, you know, live in funness. If we lose, I might need to have some time to think about it and you know, and what's it. Yeah, how many likes are we on? That's a very good point, Jack. Yeah, if you're a moderator, you don't have to ask the likes to go up, but it does help, of course, and it does help me become a big boy. Got over 400 people watching, which is amazing. Thank you, guys. I didn't even know how many people were watching. That's really encouraging. Thank you very much, everyone. That's very good for a touchline talk. I think we normally get around 200, so thank you guys for that support. There we go. On my phone, we got over 200. Thank you guys so much for that. That really helps show other people the stream. I'll be back tomorrow. No, actually, I'll be back tonight on We Are the South Stand. We Are the South Stand is a relatively new channel that has been created by Big Steve and Daps, and I'm on there. You know what, Southak? You know what? You can be a mod because you've been here for fucking months and you're always in the chats, and I think you've even joined the Discord server, and I think you've spoken in there. So you know what, mate? You can be a moderator. I trust your judgment. Just don't abuse your power, yeah? Don't abuse your power. But you're always here, so yes, you can, mate. There we go. Thank you, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Back tonight on We Are the South Stand. Back tomorrow for a watch-along and hopefully a positive post-mortem. If not, maybe a negative one the next morning when I can calm down and have a think about it. Best show on YouTube, says Spartacus. Yeah, it is good on We Are the South Stand. You know, it's 5 people. There's a good mix of personality there as well, I think. You know, I like to think I can contribute something there. I think that we've got a really good balance of calm people and calm takes from different perspectives as well, and different backgrounds and whatnot. So I think it's a really good combination, and I think everyone plays their part and everyone's able to contribute a little bit of something, and it's just nice vibes there. It's just fun. It's just fun. I feel good after coming off that show. It's nice. Have a lovely evening, everyone. Have a lovely day, lovely evening. I'll see you all later tonight and tomorrow. Oh, I forgot. I keep forgetting to do this. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm such a mallard. Shout out all my beautiful, wonderful members. If you are one, your name is showing right now. Big up to Tony, who is a fucking hardcore ultra. Big up to everyone, of course. Silver splits the blue. Another hardcore one. Yeah, big up to you, Prinks. Thank you. A big up to Spartacus, of course, one of our wonderful moderators. Big up to Ethan, another hardcore lad. And we've got a couple of fanatics to come as well. Yeah, Sarthak and Rowan. Sarthak, who's just been made a moderator. Don't worry, I didn't make Sarthak a mod because he's paid money. I did it because he's always here and always chatting and always speaking sense, in my view, and always being nice and welcoming. So yeah, shout out to Sparta. Yeah, shout out to yourself. Big up. Yeah, Jack, exactly. It's probably because he uses my clips, so he thinks as compensation I'll be a member. I don't have a problem with that. That's fine. Thank you, guys. Bye bye. Love you. See ya. Big up to everyone. Bye bye.